What's up, everybody? We're back with the Underdog Experience podcast, episode 7. Long-awaited episode 7. Supposed to put out episode 7 a week ago, but hey, it is what it is. This is going to be a way better one, I have a feeling. So, got Jameson Pratt with me today. What's up, dude?
How's it going, man?
Dude, just chilling. Just chilling, trying to get this shit less Bush League every day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this one.
Oh, dude, it's such a passionate topic. Like, take away like my military background and your gun like experience. Take away anything. Like it's still frustrating as hell seeing this shit. I mean, seeing the people dying sucks, but it's like that should be an ultimate like eye opener for people. Not like a
seeing the way they're handling the situation.
Yeah,
abroad.
It's like an access or people. It's like a point where people take sides from. They're like, oh, shooting and people died. I'm on team gun control. I'm on team super. Don't touch my guns. It's like. Mm-hmm. That's frustrating.
It's like definitely a huge thing for them to start, the whole gun control. It's just such a buzzword for them. As soon as anything bad happens, It's just like gun control. Honestly, it's just such a vague terminology.
Yeah.
Like, gun control. It's like, great. What do you mean?
That's my biggest thing is like people that say, oh, we need stricter gun laws. Okay, be specific. Give me an example. And they're like, well, it's too easy to get for anyone to get a gun. I don't think you should be able to buy them online, and I don't think that, they should be tougher background checks. Okay, well, I can get behind both of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, where do you want to start on that? I mean, they had, when Congress had, like, most of the household, like, all the Senate votes, they had, they had 60 Senate votes, and the majority of the House, and the presidency.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything because they know that it's going to be such a hard topic to even like go anywhere further from besides saying like, yeah, okay, we need to fix something.
Well, I think it's also like every time gun control debates come up, it's always like the worst fucking time possible to like start a gun control debate. Like look at now, like our country is in this like civil like unrest where the left hates the right and the right hates the left, and everyone forgets that there is a middle ground you can take, and nobody wants to fucking take that. And then like cops are getting killed, and then cops are also going overboard and killing people, innocent people. Mm-hmm. And it's just like we're in such this weird like stand your ground, protect your own time that like it's a horrible time to be like, oh, and by the way, we're taking all your guns too. Like, what?
Yeah, and that's like the worst way of saying it. It's like because they know that's what's going to stir up, but that's maybe why they do it. They know they're going to stir up controversy, right? And they know they can split it and have sides back and forth, and one side wants one law and the other side wants another law, and instead of being like, okay, I see half of your law and maybe we'll mix that with half of mine and let's make a law, they're like, nah, screw your law, and the other side's like, no, screw your law. So then they're just still once again left with no law.
Yeah, and it all comes back to like what's backing their personal, bias or their funding or their super PAC or their organization or, some of these guys that, I say guys, could be women, sorry women, politicians in general, could be politicians, it's just a general term, but some of these people that are politicians, they could take a stance that actually means something because they have the platform and they have the voice as a politician in Washington or wherever to do that successfully, but they don't. They're like, no, let's just, I don't think you need to carry that many magazines, or that magazine can't hold that many rounds, so I'm going to vote against it. It's like, well, then you dig a little deeper, and like turns out that they're promised a spot as like a trust fund holder on Wall Street someday, as long as they keep making the dude that has that spot now happy, so he can retire happy. Well, if that guy hates guns, guess what you're going to do? You're going to hate guns too.
Yeah, and it's also a pride thing. I mean, someone says like, like for me, for instance, I'm like, hard conservative, and I'm like, don't touch the Second Amendment. But then someone comes up to me and has a valid point of like, okay, say we don't want to, touch the Second Amendment, but we want to not necessarily regulate it more, but they want, they want to make laws, or, they want to like harden up the laws we already have.
Yeah. And,
most people are like, nope, gotta stick. This is their pride thing. They gotta stick with what they're saying in the first place instead of being like, okay, okay, I see your point. I see why that works, and even if it's something that like I don't necessarily believe in, it's like, yeah, that's smart, and it also still works with like what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's frustrating because as a person that I consider myself like libertarian, like middle of the center of the whole political circle, just center, dead center. I lean more right on some things, but I also lean left on some things. But it's not like the left that people know as like Democrat, and then it's not the right people know as conservative. It's like my own personal left and right leanings. And I see the damage done from both sides. Like when something happens like this, like, you know, for instance, the Florida shooting that just happened, or any shooting, any of the recent mass shootings, liberals are automatically like, gun control, gun control, gun control, you know? Then that's detrimental to the Second Amendment right, detrimental to the American people, just as much as the people on the far right that are like, you know, like, fuck everybody, bear arms, let's go, everyone's like, call the militia in, like, they're trying to take our guns now because this shooting happens. Like, both of those things are detrimental, because when the far right does that, and the super conservative gun, you know, pro-gun people do that, it makes the rest of us look bad. Because it makes us all lump into that type of echo chamber from the left's point of view. And then when lefts do it, like I said, it tears down the fabric of what makes us people in a successful society and culture, by being like, yeah, you know, that was your right, but it's just gotten too crazy now, so let's just take that right away. Well, how about we don't take the right away? How about we look at why it's gotten crazy? Environment. Yep. Everything is based off environment. Human behavior is based off environment. Fucking animal behavior based off environment. I mean, yeah, there's some genetics that play a role, and we'll get into that with, you know, mental illness and mental health conditions, but it's environment. And if you're constantly portraying guns as this very dangerous, very loud, very aggressive, very hard to shoot, hard to handle, hard to own, you know, almost monster in the closet. Because, I mean, shit, I've been around guns now for like 6-7 years, and growing up I was like around small hunting rifles and stuff, but like I was scared of guns. I was scared mainly of pistols, because like they were just painted as that monster. You know, oh, that's scary. That'll kill you. Like, you touch that and you're gonna end up shooting your friend in the head on accident. Like, so that we're already predisposed in our environment, brought up to that shit. Brought up to think of all guns as being this monster. It's like, no, it's not a monster. It's a delivery system. A gun is a rock, is a knife, is a stapler. It's the respect you need to have for the delivery system, so that you don't have proper intent that turns to, you know, accidental ill intention. Yeah,
and I think the point you made on the environment side of that is, you know, my environment growing up, and a lot of people's environment growing up, is respect is taught. You know, like, you respect your teachers. And when I was even in school, there were kids that teachers would tell them to do something, and they didn't care what they said no matter what, because it wasn't how they thought or what someone else might have told them that they, you know, respected more. They didn't have respect for people, and so when someone's afraid of something, like a fire or a gun or something like that, it's because they don't have the respect for it like I do. Like, yeah, I know, like, a gun can kill someone. Handguns are easier to do so because they're smaller, they're, you know, harder to control, but I have respect for that, and I know that. And like you were saying, environment, like, yeah, if you're not raised in an environment where you respect things, if someone tells you something, you respect that fact, or anything like that, then yeah, you're scared. It's like driving. If you never were around driving, you would then, like, be afraid of driving. Like, when I was in driver's ed, I was so comfortable with it, because I hit, like, you know, going back roads, my dad's like, hop in my lap, and my grandpa would take us up driving in the snow in a big field just to let us go crazy. But so when I started driving in driver's ed, it was no big deal. I was going through traffic. I'm like, okay, I know how to drive a vehicle. I know how to use it. And now I can, you know, use what I know.
You're confident.
Yeah, exactly. Confident.
You're not afraid of it. You're not like, oh, this is a big, fast piece of heavy machinery. Oh, God. But no, like, you know that when you let off the brake, the vehicle still moves until you know, have no more momentum, or until you apply the brake. Like, you know that when you gas it at a certain rate, it's going to go take off faster and be harder to control. Like, you're familiar with all the little tweaks, and the same thing with a gun. You know, a pistol, per se, because, I mean, a lot of pistols are still scary for a lot of people. They're like, oh, I don't want to shoot that. My hand's too close to the barrel. Like, it's just too small. It's going to kick a lot.
They flip out of your hand.
Yeah, they're going to freak out. They're used to, you know, holding two hands on a rifle and shooting a couple shots and being like, okay, that was fun, you know? Or, like, play pigeon shooting. But, like, with a pistol, the same thing. Like, how you hold it, how you practice your dry fires, how you know, just it's like a car, you know?
The more comfortable you are with it, the more aware you are.
The more you touch it, use it, feel it, see it, the more you're going to know how to use it properly. I guess is what it comes down to. That's basic common sense, but apparently it's not so common, because like everybody nowadays is like, guns are fucking terrifying.
Like the whole their pride factor. It's, maybe someone's grown up and has been like, nope, guns are bad. Like, they don't even care to listen to, like, okay, let me explain this to you. And you see it day to day in videos, like, people go out, except for that one pansy that shot the AR and, like, it ruined his life. Like, besides that guy, like, people go out and they're like, okay, you're right. This wasn't as bad as I thought, but their mindset was, that's bad. Yeah. And you see that in day-to-day basis, and we're still getting over it with, like, legalization of marijuana. People are still like, marijuana's bad. There's nothing good about it. Yeah. It kills you. Instead of looking at, like, okay, there's hard facts, or there's people, there's hard facts showing it's like, marijuana's good for you, like, or like there's benefits to it. Like, the same with guns. It's like, okay, a gun's not going to kill you unless you misuse it. It's not going to kill someone else unless you misuse it. And instead of being like, okay, like, show me how to not misuse it, or explain to me what that means, they're like, nope, like, it's going to kill someone. Like, it's going to hop off this counter and run across the street. Like, but they're so afraid of it, and then I think they're either, afraid to admit they're afraid of it, or it's the pride factor. They just don't want it. They're just like, I don't care what you say, which is what I see a lot on today's media. Everything with that is they don't care what someone else says. It's like, nope, I don't care what you have to say. You're on the opposing side. You're against me. So if you're against me, then it's wrong.
Yeah, there's no come to a solution. There's none of that. It's like, fuck that, fuck the solution. I want to be heard and I want to be right.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's from both sides. That's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing with, like, the Florida school shooting. Dying. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll start talking about that, and that's obviously a huge topic. And I mean, the Florida school shooting, they're freaking out about it, and you hear the reporters and teachers. I think it was the principal or the vice principal was talking on the radio or the news, and he said that they had no way of knowing. They were caught off guard by it. Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, let's look at the Charleston shooting. The guy was not allowed to own a gun, but it was a background screw up. Yeah. What else? We got the Texas shooting. The guy was. We'll talk about him more, obviously, but I mean, he should not have had a gun either. But it was another screw up. And once again, we got the Florida shooting, and everyone's like, oh, we didn't know about it, and no, clearly it was an FBI screw up. The FBI came out and said, man, we dropped the ball on this. When, I mean, you read up more about it, but they know so much about him. Like, he was suspended he wasn't allowed on campus with a backpack. A kid that's not allowed on campus with a backpack, to me, is a threat. Like,
why do you not have his picture posted? Why do you not, at least amongst
or someone with him at school? Why was there someone not at the front door?
They had school security there, and they have an ROTC program. He was part of the ROTC program for a small period of time. This Nicholas Cruz guy, and so why not distribute a fucking little fucking not like a wanted poster, but like a little fucking flyer, an info flyer with this kid's picture,
or it's a school system. Everything. They got the school the email. They can send it to. I mean,
send it to parents, send it to the security team at the school, send it to the ROTC officers and the teachers and staff on ROTC. So that way everyone's like, okay,
But that's because we got to be so politically correct nowadays. Like, if they were to do that, which, I mean, I think would be smart, and it's someone that it should have been done to, everyone's scared because nowadays if they send an email out about one certain kid, that school would be, like, on the news tomorrow saying they were talking crap, that this kid is just trying to express himself, in that opinion, it's like, well, no, there's serious reasons why. And then they'll be like, well, it's because you guys are making fun of him. You're not treating him right, and you're not handling it right. Well, obviously, and he was going to a secondary school, like an alternative school, because he was suspended. Yeah. And he showed up at that other school at like 2 o'clock. Well, why was someone not like, hey, we're missing this kid?
Yeah, he was never here.
Yeah, they don't want to take there's no one responsible for him. No one cares about this kid, obviously.
It's the same reason why I don't know the details into why he was suspended and stuff, or expelled or whatever he was, but
I think it's because they found bullets in his backpack. So they knew.
I don't know. It's like schools are adopting like this prison industrial complex almost just as hard as the police and in prison systems have. Like, oh, this kid's a problem, medicate him. Oh, this kid's a problem, get him out of here. Mm-hmm. How about we fucking especially as educators, like, it might be too far gone by the time you're talking to a prison psychologist or the warden of the prison you're in. Might be too far gone by then, but maybe not. But as educators, you're definitely not too far gone. Like, the students are still in their most moldable, malleable phases, and here you are just being like, man, throw them away, on to the next one. Like, I get it, you can't spend all your time focusing on one student because others are going to lack, the ones that need are there for the valid reasons. But like, I firmly believe this kid wasn't ever suspended and given maybe a counselor to come talk to. Maybe he, got suspended for a week, out of school suspension, had to spend a week out of school, but like every day for the rest of his time in school, he had this, mentor he could go talk to. That was my phone. I'm an asshole. But, he had if he had a mentor to go talk to, he might not have done this, because I firmly, when I saw this whole thing, I was like, man, what an asshole, what a fucking asshole kid that would do this. And then I like saw the pictures and some of the posts about it, and I was like, okay, I'm more curious now. And then when I researched it, dude, like I firmly believe that if this kid had a purpose in life, he wouldn't have done this shit.
Yeah, especially
if he was bullied, he could have been bullied hardcore, but if he had someone, a mentor to go talk to at the end of the day, or to like
be there,
something, a program to be a part of where he wasn't scrutinized and picked on and kicked out of, like ROTC. If the fuck, dude, like it's 2018 and they still offer kids that are facing jail time a chance to go to the fucking military. Why the fuck, if this kid's such a problem, are you offering him nothing other than get the fuck out of our lives, you're a hassle, and oh, by the way, get out of ROTC? Which I guarantee you, and this is me saying this, I can say I guarantee people because I'm not a huge podcast, but like I guarantee you, in my gut, I feel like he bought that fucking rifle not for ill intent. I feel like he originally bought that rifle to be more proficient with a rifle because he was interested in being an ROTC person, personnel or whatever, and he wanted to maybe go to the military. I think that was just something he was clinging onto because it's something that was bigger than him that gave him a purpose, a sense of purpose. And then when he bought the rifle, got proficient with it, learned it, got comfortable and familiar with it, and then was in ROTC, and then gets suspended and kicked out of ROTC because of one disciplinary action, you're out of ROTC or JROTC. He gets kicked out of that. And then his adoptive mom dies. Like, start
losing the things that you're holding
all
on.
Of these fucking micro triggers turn into bigger triggers, turn into actual triggers, turn into, okay, this kid can't fucking handle it. I mean, like, some people that, and they do say that this Nicholas Cruz guy is on the spectrum of autism or Asperger's, or it's mild form or whatever. I don't know the details, but even his own defense attorneys said that he's on the spectrum, and that's going to play a huge role in this case. So take a person that isn't on the spectrum. Take someone the smartest intellectual person that like can handle, has like a super strong mind and can handle shit. Losing their mother, getting kicked out of the two things that gave them a sense of purpose, and now they have no purpose and no family. That they're going to struggle. They're probably going to do some wild shit.
Yeah.
Then you add the fact that someone has a mental illness, such as being on the spectrum, which I don't care if that's offensive or not. It's a fucking mental illness. You're lacking certain connections that make you a whole human mentally speaking.
Yeah, and it's also not just even like there are bad teachers out there that just don't care. They're doing it for a job or for money.
Yeah.
But then there's also those teachers that they have a whole classroom. They have a whole entire school of kids that they're trying to teach, and they've got one kid that maybe he's so far gone, like at least in the classroom environment, to even be able to help him. Like you keep asking him to do things to help him, they can't. But there should be, like you're saying, a better support system for him after that, and like keep it going. And like they should have like seen these like stages of this kid, like this kid needs help.
Yeah.
And like I don't know about like when I was in school and someone lost a parent, because I had a couple kids that lost their parents. Sports system was huge, but they were also friends of mine, like well-known kids at the school.
Yeah.
And they always had a huge support system, but it wasn't like that didn't go unknown. But I know there were kids that like I still find out today. It's like, oh yeah, their mom passed away in high school. No one knew about it. Maybe the teachers did, but I never really saw any kind of. And they should keep it on the lowdown because it might be, hard for the kid at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But they need to bring him in, and you obviously know that's going to play an effect. If a kid tells you he's all right after his parents passed away, if he is okay, then he actually might need help, like serious help. And if he says yes, or she says yes, like you should still keep an eye on him because they're gonna need someone. Or like it's high school, they have the leadership classes or whatever. Send some kids out there and be like, hey, this kid needs someone right now to lean on. Like needs a person.
Yeah,
it's like let's go talk to him and go help him.
I think that this school shooting in Florida, as bad as it was, I think it was probably one of, if not the most preventable shooting next to maybe Sandy Hook that we've seen so far.
Easily, yeah, because they knew they had all. The mom before she passed away had like called the police a couple times, I think, and sat down with them a couple times talking to the kid, and that's another issue with like I think in Washington State with their involuntary commitment.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't think they have a problem, but we as your entire family, and he had a mom and a adopted brother, I think, or the same brother they both adopted, and. He didn't really have anyone to tell him that he was kind of losing it, or he was struggling. He was just all in his head.
Yeah.
In the involuntary commitment, like if you got to turn someone like that in, I think in Washington State it's like the first time trial is or first time is 72 hours, and then they get let out.
Yeah.
And after then they don't lose. I don't know about now, but they didn't lose gun rights before that.
Dude, let's talk about that. So this is crazy. Like if you and I don't know if this is, I don't think it's true in Washington anymore, but or if it ever was, but I know in Michigan it still is. You cannot get a concealed weapons permit if you have a medical marijuana card.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know about Washington, especially with the new law, but I can see that because on all the forms and everything, it tells you, like, it asks you, like, but it says, do you use drugs?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'd have to look into that. That'd be kind of cool. Like in Washington, talk to like an officer, because federally marijuana is still illegal, and I know concealed carry is a federal
mandate or
it's through the federal system, but it's still only Washington concealed carry.
Yeah, it's like fucking concealed carrying and legal marijuana are essentially the same fucking in the same like little bubble on the Venn diagram, Like,
it's
federally regulated and federally controlled in a sense, with drug busts and all that shit, arrests for joints still that are happening from the federal level. And the same thing with feds allowing people to carry based on the background checks that they provide, but it's all given to state to kind of control it and run it.
Yeah, so who really runs it and who doesn't?
But what I'm saying is, it's just like somebody who's got a past, maybe a past full of a bunch of misdemeanors, never tipped over into that felony line, but damn well they would if they just never been caught, and then they go ahead and later in life check themselves in at family's request to like a mental health facility. And then they do their time in the mental health facility, put on a front, or maybe they do feel better, but a lot of times people are just masking. They learn how to adapt better to people that don't want to be around them. So then they're like, "Oh no, I'm better, I'm fine."
Yeah, mask it. Well, they learn to like live through it, like live with it.
And then they get out of the facility and they go and they can buy a gun because even though it's documented that they have a mental illness, they've voluntarily turned themselves in for mental health.
Yeah.
To get help. So. But because I have no traffic record, and I personally don't have a medical marijuana card, but I'm just saying, like, someone who doesn't have any, criminal past or traffic tickets or anything like that gets a medical marijuana card for health or personal reasons or whatever it may be, now they automatically can't legally carry a pistol.
Yeah.
You're focusing all that fucking time and effort on stopping someone who has a medical marijuana card.
Possibly, like, arthritis in the foot or something.
Yeah, someone who might even have fucking cancer.
Yeah.
And they want to carry a gun because they're still alive and they don't want to die at someone else's dumbass hand when they're trying to fight cancer. But they have the fucking weed to subside the chemo fucking shit, It's like, you're wasting all this time on like, all this time and money on like, keep regulating that. Oh, they have a medical marijuana card, don't give them that permit, don't give them that. It's like, meanwhile you got other people over here that have a fucking past, have a record, have a background, have a mental health issue. Like, issues keep popping up in their history. They've checked themselves into a mental health professional place, and now they're still allowed to own a gun. I think after I sold firearms for a couple of years, couple months at the sporting goods store I used to work at, and the process to getting a handgun is be 21 years old, have valid proof of identification, fill out this fucking 2 or 3 page form with has one trick question on it, and then all you do is give that to the person behind the counter, and they go and call this number that's on the phone, and they talk to a person who hates their fucking job, who's getting $40,000 a year to answer phones, and they just wish they could be doing something better, so they don't really take stock in what they're doing, and they run this name, and in 5 minutes, a 5-minute background check comes back, and it's like, oh yeah, they can have this gun. Like, it takes fucking sometimes 3 weeks to hear back from a background check for a job.
Yeah.
It takes fucking 2 years of state mandated training, when you count driver's training and all that stuff, to get your fucking driver's license. It takes 5 minutes to get a fucking gun over the phone. Yeah,
I know that for at least rifles and stuff, it's that way. Handguns in Washington, I know it's still, they run the federal, so it's still a 3-week process. When I first got my pistol without it concealed, it was it was the same time it took me to get it concealed as it did to get my okay to get the gun. So they still run, but that's only on handguns.
Here's good that they do that on handguns, because
But there's other places that don't.
Yeah, Michigan doesn't. Michigan, you do a fucking 5-minute phone call, and yep, you're good. Oh, nope, you're not good. But even if you're not good, you still can come back 2 weeks later and reapply, and sometimes they'll be good.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck system are you running? Are you just playing? Is someone just playing Minesweeper on their computer, and they're like, yeah, I think this person's name doesn't sound sketchy, so we'll give them the gun.
Like, that's a huge point. Is like you're talking about. Is like, what kind of system are you running? And so with the shootings going on, they're like, okay, we need a new law. And it's like, okay, we got a government that's ill-effective with laws that are they're not working. So why don't we, instead of putting another law on the government that can't handle the ones we already have, why not either spend time fixing the ones they have to reinforce those, or like telling them, hey, enforce them more, do better at your job. We're not, don't add something on top of it, fix what you have, or shrink it down, make it simpler, like something that they can actually control. Because I know for the Texas shooting, the guy was in the Air Force, and while he was in the Air Force, he beat up his wife and fractured his infant son's skull multiple times.
So there you go. He already violated the Lautenberg Amendment.
Exactly, and he was incarcerated in Miramar for 12 months. He was incarcerated, and when he got out, the Air Force, supposedly after they released it all, the Air Force screwed up and didn't put that record. He was still a felon. He still was all on his record, but they didn't put it into the record for federal background checks. And so he went and bought the guns to do the shooting. And they ran a background check, and he was totally clean. And the whole reason he was in the shooting was based off, they said it was a domestic violence. He went into the church because that was his girlfriend or new wife's mom. And so they had an issue. And
that was the church shooting in Texas?
Yeah, okay. The one that the one guy, the NRA member who brought out his AR-15 and ended up shooting the guy and taking him down before the police even got there.
And that guy was... Dude, that guy, I want him on my team. Like, I saw the interview with that guy after he...
The old guy?
Yeah, the dude that stopped him. He was so, like, as expected, he was a little, like, razzed and phased a little bit, but, like, he was still, like, providing proper information, not saying too much, not saying not enough, and besides the fact
composed, he was super composed.
Yeah, he was super composed, and he was able to make those shots. I mean...
Barefoot, too. He didn't have time to put his shoes on.
The guy was in his car, dude. The guy was moving in his vehicle.
Yep.
Like, that's I don't care who you are. That's a hard shot, even with a fucking awesome setup on an AR.
Yep.
Like,
it's a moving target, and you got all of the adrenaline, and he obviously, like you said, was not expecting it. He heard gunshots, and he went out and did. And like you said, he doesn't even feel like a hero. He's like, I did what, I believe, or that, he believed, and that God gave him the ability to do, and luckily he was able to do it and save more people, and that's, what the other people were talking about, because when this happened, they obviously wanted more laws also. And, they were like, okay, well, those laws you guys are talking about, the only reason that guy was able to kill him was the laws you guys want to ban, or the assault rifle, and he could have used something else. Yeah. I mean, he could have not used an AR-15, he could have used, a hunting rifle, shotgun, something else, but he was able to save, probably a lot more people, because that guy would have gone on a full-on either cop chase and risked the lives of cops and killed more of them.
People in traffic,
innocent bystanders. Possibly, anyone walking down the street, he could have ran him over or just started shooting, going crazy. And then the Charleston shooter, he was also he also had felonies, and they ran his background check, and the report came out that the background check was screwed up. Yeah. It should have been no, and it came back clean, and so he was able to buy the guns and go out and do the shooting still. So instead of trying to figure out, what's wrong with our government, or like what's wrong with how are these, mentally ill people or just people that are crazy just getting these guns, how are they doing it? Well, obviously everyone's jumping to the conclusion that we need a new law to fix this. And it's like, well, we do. They're saying, we need a law to keep guns out of the hands of mentally ill. We need a law to keep guns out of people with felonies for domestic abuse. And yeah, we have all those laws, but the way that we're handling them and the way that we're dealing with them,
it's obviously not working.
Yeah, it's not working, and they're good law. I mean, they're laws that specifically say mentally ill can't have a gun.
The intent is there. The good intent is there from the lawmakers, and from I mean, maybe not the good intent. Like they don't. I don't believe the lawmakers are making these laws because they truly care about the well-being of the people. It's all about lining their pockets in some way or another. But the intent for making the law is they are trying to actually make a valid effort to stop negligent shootings.
Keep the guns out of the hands of the wrong people. There are laws that are trying to do that, but like you're saying, I mean, obviously
they're not effective. I mean, the thing that pisses me off, dude, is okay, it's 2018. We all know that there's states that make up a country, especially this country, We all know, we've all seen a map. I mean, even if it's fucking Google Maps, you've seen a map, you know that there's lines on the map drawn to outline the borders of the states. We also know that each state has their own individual state-specific laws and rules and ways they go about doing things, whether it's with weed or guns or driver's licenses or whatever the fuck. But yet we still act like those fucking lines drawn on the map are actual fucking walls that you have to drive through security checkpoints where you can enter Montana and then before you can enter. No, dude, like, okay, so it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get a fucking background check to come back before you can go pick up your gun or not, your handgun or not from Washington. Okay, that's awesome, and I think that should be like that everywhere. Because right now it's not. You can go to fucking Michigan and you can get a 5-minute background check over the phone by some state official who just runs your name and so is like, okay, cool, they're good. And then fucking, they don't check to make sure your social's real. You don't even have to provide a social security card. You just write down a fucking.
That's it. Yeah, on all the forms I filled out, that's an option. You can optionally fill the social security card out. It's like, all right, like, do you guys actually want to know what we're doing?
Yeah, like I could literally bullshit a fucking number down to, like, I paid some dude in fucking China or Canada to fucking make me some bullshit, so write that shit down. It just bothers me. It's like, you don't understand people, like, you don't think that people aren't going to buy the gun in fucking Michigan or a state like Michigan where it's simple and easy and then drive to another state or move. I mean, fuck, Nicholas Cruz from the Florida shooting had his fucking gun for like over a year.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he just bought it 2 days before the shooting and then did the shooting. Like, he had it for a year and he probably didn't. I don't believe he bought it with ill intent. I believe he bought it so he could be good at shooting in the ROTC.
Yeah.
But shit happened, triggers happened, it affected him differently, and then it did other people, and boom, you have what we have in Florida. But that's what I'm saying, is like, people are going to fucking move around, get guns, and drive different places, especially people that buy the gun from the start with ill intent.
Yeah. Like, they don't care where they're going to get, they can, and like, everyone is like, or at least half of the side is saying, people are going to get it no matter what. It's just like, I mean, we've seen it with drugs, we've seen it with anything. I mean, people
We need uniformity. We need uniformity across the board with things that our government wants to push on us that say that they really matter. Like, oh, we got to get strict with weed. Like, yeah, it's going to be legal, but we got to have it regulated this way. Okay, if that's how you feel about it, make it legal, regulate it, but make it regulated like that across every fucking state.
Yeah, because if not, there's loopholes, there's stuff to get around it.
Same thing with guns. If you're going to fucking be like, okay, we're not going to take guns from anybody, we're still going to allow the sale of handguns and certain rifles, and this is going to be the process. Okay, make it 21. This is coming from a person who I am pro-gun. I fucking own guns. I shoot guns. Like, I've done shooting courses. My fucking day job, besides this podcast, is fucking working as a protection agent. I carry a gun all the fucking time. But make it to where, fuck this 18 and 21 and different ages. Make it 21 or 25. 21 or 25 to fucking own to buy a gun for yourself. I don't care if it's a shotgun that is a single shot break action or it's a fucking, handgun that can hold fucking, double stack handgun, 15, 17, whatever else.
But so on that case, like, I mean, I view it a little differently, just like the whole 21 thing on the basis. I mean, I know it's not everyone, and like you're saying the broad spectrum, but like, there's a lot of 18-year-olds, and there's a lot of 18-year-olds that move out on their own, and then they have to go buy their own house. And a lot of times, obviously, like, stuff's expensive. So they get a house or an apartment that's not in a great neighborhood because it's as cheap as possible. And, they can't, not saying, like, you have to own a firearm for protection. There's other ways, but what's your view, like, for getting protection for your house? Like, say, like, even if...
So I have a weird take on that probably, like, since I'm not a politician, most politicians would probably hear this if they ever heard it and scoff at it, because they'd be like, how the fuck would we ever regulate that? But right now, it's considered illegal, and it's a straw man purchase if, like, daddy goes out and buys his, 17-year-old daughter a handgun because she's about to move out and go to college or get an apartment somewhere and start working. And rightfully fucking so, you bet your ass if I have daughters, they're all going to have guns.
Yeah.
And they're going to know how to fucking use them every fucking time. And what I'm proposing is take away the straw man purchase aspect, or just regulate it in a different way. Reform it to where you run a background check on the purchaser. Say this dude who's in his 40s has a daughter who's 17, wants to buy her this handgun. He goes and now he declares to the salesperson, "Hey, I'm buying this handgun for my daughter." They say okay. He fills out all the information. With the main, I forgot the form name, but like the main 3-page packet you fill out for when you're buying a handgun. And then they have another one that's produced from ATF or from, somewhere in the government that is like page and a half form for the who's going to be the prospective owner of the firearm. You run a hard background check on the page and a half owner and a soft background check on the purchaser. Mm-hmm. Setting it up, but you don't let them know that. And you set it up to where they think, okay, then this will still help you regulate strawman purchases for ill intent, because they're going to have people going in there being like, oh yeah, I'll buy it for you because they're going to run the hard check on me and the soft one on you, since you're just going to, you have less to fill out and you're just going to be the owner. But I'm purchasing it, so I know they're going to. So then, person who's just going to be the owner, who they think is going to get a soft check run on them, has the felony. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm talking from people that have ill intent buying a gun. But no, you switch it around so the hard check's on the owner. Mm-hmm. So you're still regulating strawman purchases, ill intent strawman purchase. And to clarify, strawman purchases, like as it stands right now, going in and buying it. Like if I were to go in and buy a gun for my wife, that's illegal. Like if she's not, like what they say is, oh, get a gift card for the amount of the gun and give her the gift card so she can go in and buy the gun. It's like, it should be run a hard check on the owner, a soft check on the purchaser, and allow it in those situations. Mm-hmm. In those, you know, maybe make it to where, like, okay, dad can't buy it for his second cousin, but they can buy it for immediate family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the rule, or at least in Washington, you can, like, if someone goes in, like, as a birthday present and buys a gun, like, they buy it for themselves, but then they have to go down and do a title transfer through a gun broker, and so they can, like, switch it over that way.
But how many people are, you know, like, that's where you have
to get hard. But that's the other thing.
When you start getting resentment built in the industry or in the community, the gun community, resentment start getting built, and that's where you get these far fucking right guys that are starting militias because they're like, nah, dude, fuck all this. Why did I have to, you know, buy this gun, get the okay, I can have the gun? So then I went and picked up the gun. Now I have the gun, but now I got to do this with the gun, and this and this and this and this and this and this with the gun. Mm-hmm. It's like, make it all happen one-stop shop. Make it all uniform across the country. You know, and if states are not willing to switch to the 3-week or whatever background check, you know, like it is in Washington, then okay, you're not allowed to fucking sell handguns. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
Yeah. Well, it's what's so funny to me is, like, Washington has the easiest gun laws to get. Like, it is so easy. Like you're saying, like even a 3-week background check isn't nothing. Like, it's just a typical background check, But yeah, they have the easiest ways to get a gun. To get your concealed carry, all you do is print off a sheet of paper, fill it out, and turn it in. And in 3 weeks, you get a concealed carry as long as your record's clean. Yeah. And then you can conceal carry. But they have the most strictest, most confusing gun laws. Like when it comes to actual self-defense, like I took, you know, my Utah concealed carry course so that it was a 5-hour class, but I was able to carry in multiple states or whatever from it when I get it. But what they teach you about Washington is so scary because it's like, they tell you one thing, but it actually means this, and it's like no one actually knows. And that's why Washington, their concealed carry isn't noticed in any other state. And I mean, notice, like, Utah's, I get the Utah one I can carry in, like, there's like 33 states. Because those states say, okay, like, you guys teach the information well enough, and we agree with what you're teaching, your people can carry in our states. Like, they mesh. Yeah. And I know right now they're working on doing the nationwide concealed carry. They're, like, working on that in the government or whatever, and Trump's pushing forward and all that, and hopefully maybe that's pushing towards what we're talking about is the, like, all around, because obviously if they're going to do one single, like, concealed carry nationwide, you're gonna at some point have to make something that every state recognizes as, okay, yeah, we all agree to this. Yeah. And that's how it's, you know, like, okay, we all agree to this. So hopefully, you know, maybe that puts a more informational class. It's obviously going to have to require more time than just filling out a piece of paper of every state, especially since other states already have it stricter. Right. But they have it stricter when it comes to getting it and purchasing it, but the laws backing it, like I know Utah with the laws is, you know, if you have to defend yourself if someone commits a felony, that your felony of murdering someone or, you know, defending yourself is wiped clean because they started it with a felony.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, like, I think it'd be a great idea if, you know, say you're going to just buy a handgun, just to not even, you're not applying for concealed carry, you just want to buy a handgun, you don't already have a concealed carry, okay. So, in order to buy the handgun, I think handguns should all be sold at, or I don't care about rifles for the sake of, it's just a different topic for me, but handguns, I think, should all be sold at, like, specific gun dealer stores that sell guns and ammo, or just guns, and not Walmarts, not fucking Targets, not fucking Kmarts, not online, like.
And there's a lot that I've seen. I mean, when I go to Walmart, like stuff like that, like I don't necessarily always see handguns, but I know what you're talking about. Like the other smaller stores that are like their whole general purpose isn't guns. Like they have a gun counter, but
sporting goods stores.
But I've had a 22, 23-year-old kid handing me guns that he telling me one thing, and I'm like, no, that's not true. I actually know how this gun works better than you do, and it's like, okay, do you even know guns? Like, and then
that's my thing too. Is like you said, do you even know guns? And it's like, do you even know people? If you're working at like a fucking franchise fucking sporting goods store where it's they sell fucking 10 different handguns, cool. You're not gonna sit there and be like. You don't take stock in it. You don't really give a shit about guns.
No, you don't say. Yeah, it's not your name. You're not a gun store selling a gun. That's like your product. That's your name. Is I sell guns.
And they're going to pay attention to every person that comes in there, or they should. The good gun stores are going to pay attention to.
Yeah, look at a guy like okay,
I am gonna fucking judge this guy preemptively. I am gonna fucking form some biases because that's how shit gets protected. Yep. You don't just assume everyone's a good fucking person.
And as a private gun owner, it's your duty to do so.
Exactly.
And it's your company. You want someone to walk out. It's like I'm not sure on laws and everything, but if it's a private store and you don't feel comfortable selling to someone, that's your right, and that might have just saved someone.
Yeah.
But I also think that has a problem because lately, someone refuses service for any reason, say like race or something like that, or it's just how you're acting. It's I agree that I watched a video on this that if the people are like, well, shouldn't they sell to everyone? And it's like, well, no, because now you're making a store. The government's getting involved, making a private store sell to like everyone. And it's like, and if they do have a bias, like if they say they are racist, they don't like a certain culture, and they don't sell to those people, I guarantee you that store is gonna go out of business because and it's gonna get word of mouth. And the government shouldn't, I don't think, get involved with that. And that's what you're talking about is being able to read someone when they walk in and be biased. And I don't think people are even comfortable doing that because then it's like, crap, you might lose business.
Yeah.
If you piss someone off, you're going to lose business.
Exactly.
And I don't think that should be a scare point of you should be like, okay, like I'm selling the gun to someone that I feel comfortable selling the gun to.
Exactly.
Even if the background check says they're clean.
Yeah, and to put people who are selling firearms minds at ease a little more too. In order to buy a fucking handgun, I think it should be this way. It has to be purchased at a gun store. It has like a gun specialty store. Once you buy the gun, you have to go. It takes a 3 to 4 week background check before you can be, approved for the gun. Once you're approved to own the gun, you pick the gun up. Same person, same rules apply now. Same person that applied for it has to pick it up. All that, and then right upon pickup, you have to. That's the day also that you pre-scheduled for to go do an introductory course where you do, fucking 2 hours to 4 hours or whatever they want to do in a classroom, familiarization, death by PowerPoint type shit with the fucking handgun, and then another 4 hours on an indoor or outdoor range with high instructor, like high people, like not high people that are stoned, that'd be fun, but like high level instructors, like fucking straight up, just like not just a range with one safety that's like, all right, fire, but like each person gets their own
training,
instructor, and nothing that's like, oh, shoot and move, okay, double tap and then shoot this target, like no, none of that, none of like draw from holster fire, nothing like that. Just simply present, shoot, 1-2 rounds, present, shoot, 5 rounds, just so you can get the feel for it. So
unload it, reload it. When is it safe?
That's a fucking 10 times better way to see someone's true intentions. Anyone could go into a store with ill intent and put on a fucking front and buy a gun.
That's how they do it. They have to. They don't walk in and be that honest.
Could they keep that front up for a month straight until they get the gun, and then have to keep it up for 8 hours in a course, and then another 4 hours in a course, and then another 4 hours behind the trigger when they're probably in their own zone, and their ill intentions are probably going to be more likely to leak out, and the instructors are going to be trained to see that. And you don't even get to fucking keep your gun and walk out of the store with it on the day you're approved to own it until you complete the course.
Make it a little bit harder for someone to, acquire someone that wants it, someone that like me, and I'm totally like for like having guns. Like I don't want to ever see guns taken away, but I definitely agree. I see the other side of, especially with what's going on, and we have so many in our society right now. We have so many crazy people, like mentally ill people that we don't notice, like just people that are obviously doing the things we're talking about. And so it's like, okay, like let's not try and piss everyone off, all the extremists on the right, saying we're going to take your stuff away, and not necessarily say we're going to make it harder for you to get something, but like let's educate more people. And it's like, but you get the people that are like, well, I already know all this stuff, and it's like, okay, but I do too. But if someone told me that I need to take a class so I can get an AR-15, I'd do it. That's why I took a class to get my other concealed carry, because there was knowledge on the fact.
It's going to fucking also trim out the fat. People that aren't going to want to put any effort to go pick up their gun a month later and then go through the course. Okay, well, they probably should have owned the gun in the first place, put it back on the shelf, give them back their money via mail or whatever. But we're going to have to do a part 2 because there's way more to talk about, and we're going to do it right now if you're cool with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're out of time, I think.